I find that a lot of people, when they don't know how to solve GAMSAT problems, think that they need to learn more content. Today, I wanted to tell you why I think you may have these beliefs and why I think you need to change out of this mindset. Now, I think that this mainly happens for section three, so that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So, if we just think about what a GAMSAT problem might look like, what do you see? In my mind, I kind of think of some really complex, advanced piece of science, and it's got this really long bit of text, and all that text describes this idea. And then I've got a series of questions about that. Now, what happens is people look at this information and they see all these words they don't know, they see all these ideas they don't know, they don't really understand the text. And as a result, they think that they don't have enough knowledge to actually attempt those problems. And I think why this happens is largely because of the educational system that we're put through. So, most people who are applying for medicine are academically quite high achievers. And if you think about a test at school or uni, really what you're going to be doing is get a question and you either know the answer or you don't. So, when you start looking at these GAMSAT problems with all these complex ideas and all this stuff that you don't understand, you're conditioned to think that you haven't learnt enough knowledge. But I don't think that this is the case. And more often than not, when I have students who say that to me, really what I'm doing is trying to show them that actually they do have enough knowledge and they just need to work through the problem as much as they can to see how they can actually use their knowledge of things to answer problems about something that they've never seen before. So, an example I like to give about this is, let's say, osmosis. So, osmosis is the movement of water, and it's really there to balance out solute concentration. So, what I've described there is really just a conceptual understanding of osmosis. Now, we might have a question, and it's talking about a viral infection, for example, and it might say that it inhibits these channels and these, you know, it's this really complex description of all this stuff. But really, if you think about what that virus is doing, it's affecting the ability of these cells to do osmosis. And just with this basic understanding of osmosis, if you understand that really well and you can contextualize the information that you're given, you can kind of relate the two. You can say, okay, this channel is essentially acting how this thing would, and this thing is essentially stopping that. And if I stopped that, then this would happen. So that's kind of how I picture your knowledge being assessed in a GAMSAT context. And if you think about it, all knowledge has to have been built on some previous bit of knowledge. So I kind of think, okay, we need to have all the basic fundamentals of science, biology, chemistry, and physics. And then they're going to give us something that's past that understanding and see if we can understand it well enough to use our basic conceptual understanding of these core ideas, which drive all of these things. And to me, that makes perfect sense because if you think about medical school, all it is really learning a lot of new information. And they want to see how well you're going to do in that environment. So they're giving you unfamiliar information and seeing if you can understand that well enough in a condensed period of time. So, my biggest advice, if you feel this way, if you look at problems and when you don't know what to do, you kind of think, okay, I need to go and study about this virus, that's, I think, the wrong approach. I think you should be really trying to look at that and say, what are the things that I need to understand this information? And then from there, you can actually learn those things really well because, the example of osmosis, that could apply to viruses, bacteria, red blood cells, a million other things that I can't think of. But it's something that just underlies so many different processes. And you need to understand that idea really well so that you can understand these things of information that you've never seen before. I don't think you should be aiming to look at a question and immediately know how to solve it. Not one question in my exam did I look at it and instantly know the answer. I had to look at it and think, what do I need to understand from the STEM to answer this question? And how can I contextualize that information to understand how it works. So get comfortable with not knowing what to do, but just come up with more and more strategies to actually work through these problems. Now, developing these strategies of how you interpret information better, how you can relate information that you've never seen before to conceptual ideas that you have, this is hard and this takes time. And that's why I think you should be reflecting really frequently on all of the questions you're doing and really breaking them down as much as possible so you can see what's underlying all these questions and how you can actually use that understanding to solve really complex problems. And maybe it's reassuring to know that there isn't some magic resource out there that's got all the answers. And it's actually less likely that you don't have enough knowledge. It's that you haven't really been trained through the educational system to actually look at these problems in a different way and try to work your way through it based on the information that you have. And when I think about myself academically, I think this actually makes a lot of sense because in high school and uni, I was actually not very academically motivated at all. So a lot of the times I'd actually be in the exams and not know any of the answers. So half of the exam, I'd actually be there trying to pick up little clues from other questions that might direct me to another answer. So I actually think because I was quite lazy, in high school and uni, I was actually became quite good at working with the information I got. And I think that that actually helped me with the GAMSAT because I didn't want to go and learn a million different facts. I wanted to look at the question and have an approach that I could use that information to solve the problem. So I developed those problem solving skills. And I think that maybe ironically, my laziness actually helped me in this context. So hopefully you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. But yes, I think that everyone would benefit from changing their mindset from there must be some content out there that I'm missing to the information is there. I just need to be better at understanding the information that I'm given and relating that to solving a problem.